How about that cigar?
How about that cigar?
Well, good evening, everybody. It is episode number 36 of How About That Cigar. Things are trucking along.
Man.
It is a beautiful, beautiful night here in sunny, freezing cold Minnesota. And we are here live in the Drew Estate Studios. Thanks so much for joining us. If you are watching live on Facebook, thanks so much. Take a second and share us out to your favorite Facebook cigar groups. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, we want to thank you as well for watching. Take a second, click on the subscribe button on YouTube for us. And if you're listening on audio podcasts on whichever your favorite podcast platform is, give us a second and rate us and say hi and thank you very much. As always, we are in the Drew Estate Studios, and we want to tell you about the Pappy Van Winkle Family Reserve Barrel Aged. It is a barrel fermented cigar, premium cigar rolled in limited quantities at La Gran Fabrica Drew Estate in Esteli, Nicaragua. Deep barrel fermentation is the key process that makes this expression vastly different from anything on the market. Hand-selected leaves from Kentucky are packed into small torquettes, which are then loaded strategically into oak bourbon barrels. Water is then added while immense pressure is applied to the torquettes via railroad shacks. The tobacco is removed two to three times per year, shaken out, then repacked. This total process takes 12 to 18 months, leaving a truly unique flavor profile and aroma. The Pappy Van Winkle Family Reserve Barrel Fermented is now available at brick and mortar Drew Diplomat retailers. And Garrett's like doing his utmost to break me up while I'm doing the commercial read there. Thanks so much for that.
Oh, love it. You nailed it.
Yeah, nailed it completely. So guys, again, thanks for joining us. We have a very special guest who we will introduce in just a moment, but I want to take a quick moment and talk about football. So Garrett's team, Garrett's favorite team, the Minnesota Vikings, had a bye week, and my team, the Packers, played as though they had a bye week.
Yeah, but
although we didn't have a bye week, we actually played in a game, but I'm still trying to. We're still sending out a search party to figure out where the hell the Green Bay Packers went, because they didn't show up to the game against San Francisco. It was one of the worst, embarrassing beatdowns I've seen on an NFL field in years.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that I don't bet on sports, because I would have actually, I don't remember what the line was, but I remember thinking it was actually a good bet to say Green Bay was going to cover the spread.
Yeah.
However, whoa.
Yeah, it was.
Those who had that thought too, I'm sorry.
It was terrible. Green Bay, I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from San Francisco. They played really, really well.
They're fantastic. I mean,
they're having a great season. They played really well.
Defense.
But if the Green Bay Packers would have actually shown up and played the way that they're capable of playing, it would not have been a 30 points. It would not have been a 30-point beatdown. So, it is what it is. Yeah. We got the Wild game on in the background. They're still up 3-2 over the Devils. So that's a good thing. And Minnesota Golden Gophers football,
dude,
they trounced Northwestern.
Yeah.
And so I think they moved up to number 10. So we're still in the top 10. That's a good thing. And we've got the big border battle against Wisconsin.
Axe.
Yeah, the big border battle for the Axe coming up against Wisconsin. So best of luck to the Minnesota Golden Gophers in that contest. So we are going to, I'm going to get my paperwork straightened out here. We're going to get into our main segment here with our special guest. And before we do that, I want to let you guys know that this segment is brought to you by Corona Cigar Company and coronacigar.com, the internet's largest and easiest to use virtual cigar store. Corona Cigar Company offers you the finest handmade cigars, humidors, and cigar accessories at the absolute lowest possible price. At Corona Cigar Company, they take pride in being cigar fanatics just like you and me. That is why you will find the best selection of the rarest and finest premium cigars available anywhere in the world. Choose from famous brands like Padron, Davidoff, Fuente, and hundreds more. Named by Forbes magazine in the best of the web list.
Forbes.
Voted as top 5 internet cigar retailer by Smoke magazine, and called the largest, best stocked cigar shops in America by Cigar Aficionado. If you live in Florida or are just visiting, Be sure to visit any of the great Corona Cigar locations in downtown Orlando, Sand Lake, Lake Mary, and also the Davidoff of Geneva Lounge in Tampa. For more info on all of that, please visit coronacigar.com and floridasungrown.com.
All right, they need to work on their copy because they don't have enough creepy words in there that I can.
You need more
take
creepy
advantage.
words.
I do.
I'll talk to Jeff about that.
Drew, they worked it.
I'll ask Jeff to put more creepy words in the copy.
We need
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this evening we have a super awesome special guest. If you would please, along with us, welcome from Espinosa Cigars, Mr. Héctor Alfonso Sr. Héctor, welcome to the show.
Héctor!
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I apologize ahead of time. I've been sick for the last few days, but I wasn't going to miss a chance to be on with you guys, especially since, got to spread the word, man. It's almost Thanksgiving, end of the year's coming up, and we're hot off Lazona Palooza. We got to make sure we take advantage of all this media coverage we've been garnering these last few weeks.
Yeah.
But no, I've been sick as a dog I didn't even go to work today, but I got to be here. What a tough job,
I know, right?
Well, we're grateful to have you here, and thanks for sticking it out and being with us. Sorry you can't smoke with us today, but
that's the shitty part. But you know what? I sent you some good cigars, so hopefully you guys will enjoy what I sent you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I couldn't wait for Matt. I just kept looking at it, and I was like you were like a boxer, a guy who can't come up with words. Yep, I was.
Should have left the breadcrumb trail back to where you were going with that thought. Okay, so
that's good. Dang it.
No, thanks for you sent us the Les Seis Provincias MTZ.
That's right. That's a very special cigar. We hope to see it. We got it out in June, and I made sure to get it in as many hands as I could before they all disappeared after the show. So hopefully we'll see it in some of these lists that come out at the end of the year. We're very happy with that cigar. We've had a very good year. I mean, every year come December, Eric will tell you I'm beat up because I'm on list watch. Where did we come out? Did it come out? What did the factory do? What did they think of the cigar? Did the cigar get rated? I'm kind of insufferable during the month of December. And then at the end of it, I always say, well, next year won't be as good because we're not going to have a lot of new things coming out. And hey, it's the same shit every year, especially this last few weeks. I mean, you guys have been following the media coverage. We had Las Seis Provincias, we had some new stuff at the show, and then we just released. I think they start shipping in a week or so. The collaboration we did with General.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So tell us, just briefly, give us a little bit of a hit about that collaboration with General.
Look, the collaboration with General, it's something that benefits our company, obviously.
Absolutely.
It benefits both companies. Listen, we're in the business of making cigars. We're in the Eric will tell you, we're in our we're going into our 8th year now. And we have done a great job with social media. We've done a great job tending to our clients, not just our B&Ms, our store owner who are clients, but their clients as well. The real roots of the industry, the guys who smoke, the guys who are part of all these groups and who smoke all the boutique brands. And, we've made a connection with these guys, but there's another step. There's always another step you can take. So the thought, when the opportunity came in the beginning of January, some things fell into place for us as a company. And we were able to get this collaboration going between Eric's relationship with Justin Andrews and Justin Andrews' relationship with Jack Tarano, and Jack Tarano coming on board with us. And, Jack's 10 years in the industry, Eric's 20 years in the industry, Justin having an affinity for Jack and Espinosa products and Eric himself. It just kind of fell together. Are you guys, I don't know if you guys are big into, if you guys are familiar with Malcolm Gladwell's theories, but he has a theory on the tipping point, which is sometimes things succeed, not because you have a fantastic product or it's the best product in the world, but sometimes timing is what's important. When the right thing falls in the right hands, that somebody puts it into the right person's hands, who puts it into the hands of somebody else who can move it and shake it. And I think all of those things kind of came together at the same time. As a company, we're very lucky to have, Eric leading the company, his son, the heir to the company, Jack, another strong figure in the industry now working with us, another very popular figure. And then having General Cigar and who worked hand in hand with someone who's Justin, who's a big fan of ours. It just, it didn't really need any extra moving parts. Trust me, I was the least of all these parts. I'm the least important part. These guys, they did a lot of the legwork, and they do a lot of the marketing, and they do a lot of the meetings. My interest is, let's just make a good cigar.
Yeah.
They have a lot more. They have a lot more, a lot more important, a lot more other bigger concerns. I'm kind of under the weather, guys. So if I'm a little slow for words, just bear with me.
No, it's
really good at that.
That happened, and that the wheels started to come. Everything started to come together in January. It was a flawless thing. Flawless in the sense of you have a big company and a small company. We have our problems doing things, and they have their problems doing things. Their problems are big problems. Our problems are small, but they're big to us. And we had to try to mix these two worlds together. But it worked out great. And I got to tell you, the cigar, a chance to do a collaboration with somebody that helps us in the sense that, we're in 500 stores. General's in 3,000 stores, and I'm just getting a number out of midair. But I doubt that I'm very far from an accurate number. This gives us a chance for those who have never heard of us who have heard of General, who smoke General products regularly, to pick up our cigar and say, hey, Espinosa. Oh, and General's working with them, man. They're pretty good. And it also gives General it helps them find that edge, which they've been looking for the last couple of years, where when after the Foundry thing, so it gives them a tie into a very popular boutique brand of the many good young boutique brands that are out there. But it gives us a chance to help them not break, but to get in somewhere, or to get a better footing where they haven't been before, or where people wouldn't have considered trying them.
Yeah.
So it's trust me, we're not. I think this relationship, while it works for both of us, is definitely a boon to us. If it keeps going like it's been going for the last 2 weeks, this could be the best thing that's happened to us in a long time, probably since Laranja, which was our first big hurdle, where we finally got that one cigar that landed in the top 25 as a new company. So
yeah,
there's a lot of things there are a lot of things that we have to look forward to.
Yeah, and those relationships, like you said, the relationship piece in every business is really important. We've talked about this before on the show, that there's something more so about the cigar business, that the cigar culture, that relationships are, it's almost like they're doubly important for some reason in this industry. And whether it's small companies, big companies, individuals, consumers, reviewers, whatever it is, building those relationships is important, but maintaining those relationships and educating consumers and things like that, it's so important. And at the same time, it's a lot of fun to do it. So, the fact that you guys get to work with, and you've been fortunate to work with a lot of different, you've had a lot of different relationships that have yielded a lot of different types of products and types of projects and things like that. And this is just another, I just see this as another, the logical next step in like the evolution, for lack of a better term, for Espinosa Premium Cigars, is that, because General has such a track record, and they have such vast resources, and why would you not want to build a relationship with a group of people who have that kind of thing, going for them? And the fact that what an honor it's got to be, honestly, for a company to, of that size and stature and history and all that, to come and say, hey, we want to do a project together with you guys. That's got to feel pretty awesome.
And on top of that, it was a chance to, not only was it to work with somebody, but you felt that you were on equal footing the whole way through.
Yeah.
which is important, you know. I mean, because obviously they know that we have plenty of respect for them, just because of the history, the makeup of our company. There is respect for the guys there, and they showed nothing but respect for us. You know, I've become very good friends with Justin just in the last year or so. You know, Jack was friends with Justin the 2.5 years he was over there. Eric is friends with Justin. We're friends now. I mean, you know, he came down for Palooza, not just for the reveal on the war zone, but, you know, we hung out, and, you know, it's now, you know, and I don't have a lot of these relationships in the cigar industry. I'm not Eric, and I'm not Jack. I mean, I've gotten better in the 8 years that I've been doing this now with Eric, but my alliances and my relationships are a little bit smaller. It's a smaller pond, you know. Yeah. But I can now, I pick up the phone and, you know, hey, how are you? And we shoot the shit and chit chat about anything but cigars. Yeah. So it's a good thing for us. And listen, they could have gone anywhere. Mm-hmm. It's almost like I don't know if you guys ever watched Night Court.
I love that show.
All right, there was a scene when Dan Larroquette was the district attorney, and he kept, you know, he asked Judge Anderson, he asked Harry Stone, how did you become a judge? You were 150th. You were 150th on the list, and he goes, "I was home when they called."
I was home.
So, and you know, I use that line all the time when people ask me how I got started in this industry. Eric called me, and I answered the phone. Had I not answered, who knows? And had he not called me, who knows? So, you know, you got to take those calls and you got to listen and listen. I look at it this way. I don't believe at all that this is a one and done. Especially if the cigar keeps the legs that it has shown from the beginning, since the beginning of the reveal and the media movement and the movement on social media, I don't see why this is not something that could continue to grow. But that's not in my purview, and that's not really anything that I have anything to deal with. That's the guys in the other office. But I know that we're both in the same industry, and our business is to sell cigars. And if we can make a good cigar and make it and present a nice cigar to the consumer, I don't see why we can't continue to do that.
Absolutely.
And you know, you brought up a lot of relationships that have helped you, you know, get to where you're at today. I would like to take a moment to talk about the bromance that you've got with Jack Tarano. And you know, was it a love at first sight type of thing, or how did that relationship blossom?
I can spot envy 100 miles away. In your case, 1,800 miles away. And maybe you and Matt haven't achieved that, but there are a lot of bromances like mine and Jack. You have Mike and Skip, Mike from Hustler and Skip. You know, they have a relationship. I'll tell you, Jack is the only guy in my lifetime that has told me he was going to be friends with me that I didn't tell him to fuck off. Because it almost looked like he was reading a script from Oz when he told me we were going to be friends. I'm like, oh, what the hell's wrong with this guy? I'll tell you exactly what happened. We were at a multi-vendor event. We were at Smoke-In's event in Palm Beach. Abe puts on a multi-vendor event, which is out of this world. And I like Tarano cigars. I smoked Tarano cigars before I got in the industry. I used to smoke the Exodus like it was going out of style.
Oh, hell yeah.
They were at the booth. They were 2 booths over from us. So the guy who I had seen handing them out was Carlos Yaca, who works now for, oh my God, help me. He works for Kaiser. He works for I almost called him Geisha, Gurkha. He works for Gurkha. So I walked over and I said, "Hey, can I have a cigar? Would you like to trade for a cigar?" And Jack says, "I don't know why you're talking to him. I'm the guy with the cigars." I guess I kind of looked at him a little funny, and he says, "Me and you, we're going to be friends." And I said, "Well, that sounds like some just met you at the cell block kind of shit to me, you know?"
You got a real booty mouth.
And, you know, and he's a big cat. And I'll tell you what, I'd have put every bullet in my magazine in his ass too. But you know what? He he was absolutely what you saw is what you got. Jack's just and I think he took me on as a project because I am a surly kind of a fuck. I really am. And he says, "Oh, we're gonna work on your personality." So of course I'm thinking there's money in it at the end or something like that. But there was no money in it. Just a lifelong friend now, who's just it's good for me. He takes all of my bad press. He's like my Mike Pence. He takes all of my bad press. People walk in and they don't see me right away because he's a bigger person. They see him, and so I can kind of run behind him in the line of scrimmage, kind of thing. Jack's just bigger than life, man. And he said we're going to be friends, and damn it if we haven't been friends, And when he says we're going to be friends, he meant it. Come to the house, and we're going to go let's go eat, and let's go have a smoke, and Jack's a funny guy to know because Jack knows a lot of shit. For Jack.
Yeah.
Jack. I mean, if we were gonna, there's a term that gets thrown around a lot among cigar guys. It's that master blender term. I really hate that one.
Yeah.
But one term you can throw around Jack is yenta. Jack. Everybody tells Jack shit. Jack has that face that everybody just feels that they need to share stuff with Jack. And Jack is open to all of it. He'll take all of your information, absolutely, gladly. Tell me what's wrong with you, My relationship with Eric is totally different. My relationship with Eric is based on the fact that it's what ifs. I mean, Eric lived a mile and a half from me. We grew up a mile and a half from each other and didn't know each other. He went to one high school, I went to the other because we lived on opposite sides of an avenue. But when we started to talk, when I was working in retail prior to working for him, because when the economy took a shit back in 2008, I took a weekend job at a cigar store because the mayor was balancing the budget of his employees on his back. Sorry, that's enough paid. So I meet this guy, and I'm like, he has the same people on his Facebook than I do, but they're not cigar people. They're like people from junior high. So I said, how do you know these people? He goes, I played baseball with that guy. I go, bro, where do you live? We got our hair cut at the same place. We just never ran into each other. We just never ran into each other. Yeah. So our relationship is mostly, it's a friendship. Obviously, Eric's a different kind of guy. He's not a touchy-feely guy. Where I am, believe it or not, I am. Jack surely is. But Eric's a little more reserved, that bro thing is not a facade. That's his real thing, So, but he respects me, and I, to me, that's the most important thing working anywhere. I've worked in law enforcement for 31 years now, coming up on 31 years. And the only times I've ever been unhappy in any assignment I've had is when I'm micromanaged or I don't feel that I'm being respected. And then that doesn't take too long before I'll find a new place to go. I'm a well-tenured guy, and I've done my job a long time, and I've been very good at it. So I've never had a problem moving and going somewhere to do something. But this is the one place I've worked from the beginning that I've always felt that I was part of it, and I owe that to Eric. And had it not been for Eric, who knows what I'd be doing now? I mean, I'd probably be retired, and I surely wouldn't be a greeter at Walmart. I'd probably be the guy who checks your receipt to make sure that old Roy is on the receipt. Hey, that 50 pounds of dog back. But so I owe a big debt of thanks to him because he brought me on with no experience and no idea what he was going to do with me. He just, you want to work here? It was kind of like that scene in Scar. I mean, everything relates to a movie with us, but it was kind of like that scene in Scarface when Tony shoots the bad cop. And then Manny tells him, hey, what about Arnie, the bodyguard? Hey, Arnie, you want a job? Yeah, okay.
You want a job? Yeah.
Come see me Monday. So it was one of those things. So like we're not the same kind of guy. And because we're not the same kind of guy, we've had our, and they're not conflict, they're dust ups, but it's because of those that we can keep working together because he'll listen, he takes my advice, that's all you can ask for when you work anywhere.
So I got to ask you this question, and I'm asking you this because I'm hoping that it's true. Is it true that the first time you went to meet Eric at the new Espinosa warehouse that you showed up, that you walked in with your service weapon drawn?
No, that's not true.
It was. I read that somewhere. I was like, oh man, I hope that story is true.
The story it's I'm not saying it's completely true. It's not completely falsehood. You got to understand, Eric, I didn't know Eric that well. So Eric calls me. He goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm leaving the station now. And he goes, well, meet me at the Home Depot on US 1, on US 27. So I pull into the Home Depot at US 27. He's not there. I call him. I go, where you at? He goes, all right, now leave there, make a right turn and go about a half a mile. And there's some blue warehouses on the right-hand side. So I'm like, this sounds just like how they fucked Pesci up in that movie too. So,
down there, it's right down there. It's right down there.
So when I drive down to the blue warehouses, he's there. He's parked in front of the blue warehouses. But I park about 4 or 5 car spots away from him, and I have a shirt. I had a pistol on, but I had a weapon on, but I had my T-shirt with a T-shirt over the top of it. One of these, a button down. So when I got out of the car, I made sure that he saw that I was, but, just in case he lost his mind or something like that. But no, that was never gonna. But it was just funny because as I pulled up, I'm laughing. I'm like, well, isn't this some shit, But
you're like this, so this is how it ends.
Yeah.
Not for him, it wouldn't have ended like that at all for me.
Yeah, not for you.
I'm funny.
But I felt, let me tell you something. As funny as that story is, that story doesn't compare to half of the shit that we have seen and that we've been through in the 7 years that we've been together.
Oh yeah.
That I'm telling you, we to say that making good cigars is that we've been lucky and blessed to make good cigars, and to be able to rub shoulders with a lot of these great boutique companies and even high upper level companies and be in the same conversation with them does not compare to the shit that has happened to us and the fun times that we've had. So there have been some scary times too, don't get me wrong. But it's been outrageous, It's been the funnest time I've had.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'll be able to top. I can only hope the next 7 or 8 years will top these first 7 or 8 years because I've only got 8 more years left, then I'm out. I'm out. I'm going to retire. God, I don't. 7 years. I'm good for another 7 years, but I hope they go just as well as these 7 did.
So I'd like to talk about one of my favorite and early Espinosa cigars, and that was the Bunker Buster. That
was a very important cigar for us,
dude. That thing. So I had the 601 La Bamba, and at that time, that was one of the first real powerhouses that I had that I loved, that I liked, and then that micro blend came out, that sampler, and I ended up buying 3 of those samplers just for the Bunker Buster. And tell me.
You still might be able to find that Bunker Buster on the secondary market, the original one.
Yeah.
But that cigar was a very important cigar. I'll tell you how important that cigar was. When I go to Nicaragua, I'm pretty much on my own. Eric doesn't like to go to Nicaragua. That's why he's got me. He doesn't like to go to Nicaragua. He does. He has to go. But, he just doesn't, it takes the life out of him. He hates going. He doesn't do us any good being in Nicaragua. He needs to be in the States promoting the brand and doing his thing. But I'll tell you how important that cigar was. When I came back with the samples, he picked me up at the airport. And that just showed you that I was bringing something very important back.
Yeah.
It was a big deal because him and Abe have a friendship that's gone on for many, many years. This was Abe, I don't want to say Abe threw us a bone, but Abe gave us a chance to be a part of if you look at that microblend lineup, look at the cigars in that microblend lineup, Fuente and Padron and some other companies there that are big time. He gave us a chance to be a part of that microblend series.
Yeah.
And Eric, the pressure was on because not only did Abe said, okay, sure, this is what we're going to give this to you, but let's not make it completely easy for you. Let's make it a perfecto and let's make it box pressed. So, sure, there's nothing you want that better than a company with 1 year on and a novice cigar factory guide going in Nicaragua, going, oh yeah, I guess that looks about right. You know, but it was just another example of the hurdles that, you know. Look, this is a guy. He's a guy who's been left for dead 4 times by former partners, former distributors, former manufacturers. So having a guy telling him that he has to make a box press perfecto ain't shit to him compared to what he's gone through.
Yeah.
So it's like, what, me worrying? Bro, we got this. Yeah. All the while sweating his blood, bro, this shit better be good because you know how maybe. Yeah, of course this shit better be good, you know. So, you know, the cigars came back. He smoked it. He loved them. The couple of the samples that he loved went that same night to Abe. Abe picked one, and the next day they were being made. We had them coming on a Saturday. I landed on a Friday, and we had them. I think we had them Saturday. They were working on it. If not, for sure, first thing Monday morning they were making them because they had to be done for the release, which is early in the year, if I'm not mistaken. And then that was a dog show too, because I'm going to tell you, manufacturers, we take a lot of crap for a cigar maybe not burning right, and it's you know, cigars are man-made products. Sure, it could have fallen. You know, maybe it was underfilled, maybe it was overfilled. You know, we'll take our lumps when it's our fault. But I'm going to tell you, 75% of any defect in a cigar is operator error. They don't know how to cut it. They don't know how to light it. They drop them. They squeeze them. They smoke them too fast. You know, it's not your old lady's nipple. You know, just take it easy. You know, and you know, you can learn something here. Give the less teeth on the nipple. You know, a little drier. Why do you gotta look at your cigar's gotta look a fucking paintbrush?
You don't flick it.
Don't flick it if it's a very soft wrapper. No, if it's a nice burly, if it's a nice thick Maduro, sure, yeah, it can take a flicking. But this thing, come on, bro.
It's not a knob on a car radio, bro.
It's not. You know, it's not. You know, so we spent at dinner. You know, I felt like one of these cigars. Some of the cigar. Can I cut your cigar? Can I cut your cigar? Because instead of me telling them, hey, idiot, don't cut it under the shoulder. Cut it up here. There you go. Hey, see that nipple on the other end? You might want to cut that. Oh, but I like the nipple. You're gonna fuck the cigar up. All right? It's there for appearances. It's just cut it and go. You know. So, you know, that was a very important cigar for us. I think it must have done well enough that he asked us to come back and do one the beginning of this year, because we did another one this year, and I thought that this one was superior to the first one, because it was more of a challenge to make a Connecticut that was strong and had flavor and that wouldn't, you know, gross you out, you know, wouldn't repug. And luckily we didn't have to box press that, so that was a little easier to do. Yeah. So we were very happy with that cigar.
So guys, before we move on to more questions, for those of you who are watching, we want to let you know Hector was really kind to send us some super sweet stuff. We got some 5-packs and we got some hats here. And so if you guys leave questions here on the live broadcast, you can also leave comments on the YouTube video, and you can also hit us up on howaboutthatcigar.com, sign up for the email list, and we're going to randomly select a couple winners to get a 5-pack and a hat here. So thank you for that, Hector, as well.
No problem.
So Hector, tell us about, you know, take us a little bit back in time, you know, jump in the DeLorean and take us back a little bit, and just give us a little bit of your first experience with a premium cigar, and what sort of made you enjoy premium cigars.
Well, premium cigars, I didn't get into premium cigars till probably the night, you know, when we had the big surge here, the boom here in Miami. I've been smoking cigars since I was in the service. My summer year before I left for the Army, I worked with my brother's godfather. He was a maintenance guy. He did, you know, he did air conditioners and painted. He was a handyman, and I am not a handyman. I'm a house brother, man. I don't, you know, I'll paint and do a little thing, but I don't spackle, and I can't run electricity. It's just not my thing, you know. But I remember spending that summer with him, and he would go to the bakery next to the Cuban supermarkets, and for $1 he'd get 4 cigars that were all 7.5 by 50, all big double Coronas,
Yeah.
These big and colossals or that would last him all day. They were 4 like giant all day suckers, and they were all Cuban sandwiches. They were all much not even Cuban sandwiches. They were most of short fill.
Yeah.
And I remember loving the smell of it. And then on Fridays when he got paid, he'd actually buy himself like a Padron, which back then was like $4 or $5. And $4 or $5 for this guy back in 1983. You should have heard him complain about. I can't believe. Look, cigar price is $4. Right. I remember I can get a cigar in Cuba for 15 cents. Well, you want to get back on a raft and go to Cuba and spend 15 cents, or just pay $4 for the Padron and go.
Exactly.
But I remember smelling them and going, man, that really smells good. But nobody in my family smoked, and so I guess one of those weekends that I was working with him, I got one of those Don Goyos. That's the brand I remember, Don Goyo. And I remember lighting it up, and I remember biting the end like he did, and spending like 5 minutes spitting tobacco out of the back of it because it just all would come in your mouth. And don't get me wrong, I had smoked stuff before in 1983, but it hadn't really been tobacco, that kind of tobacco product. This was more of the Dungeness Colombian stuff.
Right.
But
right. Yeah.
I got a hang on, man. This is pretty good, and you don't get high, which is great, and you don't hear any seeds popping, which is great as well. So that thing led to me. I'd smoke, and it was cool. You're a 17-year-old kid smoking a cigar. That's kind of cool. Of course, and back then we didn't have the schmucks that were FDA and running the anyway. So
I'm with you.
Yeah. So and then I joined the Army and I go to basic training, and I remember the first time you were to the PX and you're like, have a Tampa. Oh, that's a cigar, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're smoking those, and and you think you're kind of the big shit, and then I remember coming home, and I came home and there was a Thompson's catalog. Cigar of the Month Club. I get 40 cigars for $20 a month. That sounds pretty good, And I get these cigars from Thompson, and then I got a job in the department. I got a job working for Miami-Dade, and I felt my first assignment was in the housing unit, the housing police unit, and we had a sergeant there, who was, rest in peace, Joe Delancey, was a cigar chomper, but he'd smoke a cigar occasionally. So, but he liked to chew on cigars. But he'd go down to El Crédito, and you'd get a bundle of cigars for $15, and they were Gloria Cubana seconds. And this is 1988, 1989. And then when he was tired of smoking those, he'd go over to Puro Indios and get a bundle of those. And, then next thing you know, I started to smoke actual cigars, premium cigars.
Yeah.
And, I tried Baccarat but the first cigar that I really fell in love with, and then I unfortunately never saw it again. In 1992, I did a PBA event, a Policeman Elder Association cigar event, as a young guy in the department. But we had a couple hundred people come, and the money was donated to charity. And believe it or not, Nestor Miranda was the guy who Nestor Miranda donated the cigars for that event. He had one of his employees, his name was George Valdez, who now owns a cigar store here in Miami. Was my go-between, and George donated the cigars, and Nestor came to the event, and I fell in love with a cigar called the Don Tomas International.
Oh yeah. And
I have never seen that cigar again. It's been more than almost 25 years now, and I know I'll never see it again. That's when Nestor owned Astral and Don Tomas and Don Lino, and then the next event was with Tropical Tobacco, and then from there I just kind of I started going to stores, and my palate kind of moved to where it is now. I mean, when I started working in a cigar store, I didn't know who Eric was, and I was smoking his stuff because the guy behind the counter recommended it to me.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think I owe a lot to that store, because that's where I really established my palate.
Yep.
That's right. I said I like this and I don't like that, and being at a store gave me the chance to try everything that came in. Absolutely. And Miami is not a boutique town. Miami is a 5 or 6 brand town.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. My home store that I go to, the one on Berg Road, Caribbean, he's the only boutique guy in town. He has, and it's important to me to say it's boutique, because since I think we're a boutique company, those are our friends and our competitors.
Remind me the name of the proprietor there at
His name is Alan Schumann.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Alan Schumann. He's the best kind of store owner in the sense of he's a geek. I mean, if you make it, he wants it, and I think that's great. It's incredible brand loyalty from him. I spend 4 or 5 nights there a week, and because he carries everything we make. And if I told him, hey, I've got a couple of dog rockets that I'm going to wrap in Arapiraca and give me a box, he wants to have it, and it's a good relationship that we've developed with him, because it's good to have it's always had a place where you can really showcase your stuff. And for us, that's been a place where we can showcase our stuff. And we're head and shoulders above everybody else there in that shop when it comes to facings and the amount of cigars that are sold. But there's some tough competitors in there, we stand our ground, and we're happy to be in that shop because that's where the industry guys go to smoke at night. And that's where we started that fuck that guy thing that night with Jack. And that's when, if there's a guy who knows me or knows Jack and is in town for a couple of days, that's where we'll meet him. And the guys who go to that shop are super spoiled because not only do they get to smoke great cigars, not just from our brand, from the other 10 or 15 great boutique brands that are there, but they get to sit and hear industry gossip and industry shit. And they're like, you should see their faces. They're like, wow. So that guy cross dresses. Shh, you're not supposed to say that. Sorry.
No,
I love it. That's fantastic.
So I'd like to go back maybe even further and talk about the New York Mets and ask, number one, how that happened. And number two, if you could choose between Tom Seaver and Mike Piazza as the best of all time, who would you pick?
Oh, I know the answer to that, but
I'm gonna take you back. Listen, I love football. Football is my favorite sport.
Okay.
However, baseball, there's a romanticism to baseball that no sport has.
That's right.
Listen,
I totally agree.
My father's 80. My father's 80 years old, and my father is a guy that he'll never be happy because his dream of going back to Cuba is non-existent.
Mm.
And he lives that struggle every day because he was, it's a guy who can't go back to Cuba. It's a guy whose mother couldn't leave the island for 40 years because of his struggles here. But we always could talk baseball, even when it was bad for him. Hey, you see did you see this or did you think that? What was he thinking? So baseball will always have that romanticism for me because it at least brought me close. It gave me something in common with my father, and at this point with my son. My son's 33 years old. I have a grown man and son, but our relationship is better. I have a more modern relationship with my son than I do with my father, and ours covers 3 or 4 sports, and plus the fact that he's in law enforcement and he's a cigar smoker, and and he's kind of a chip off the old block.
Yeah,
but there's something romantic about baseball because even when we had nothing to talk about when I was a youngster, or even when I was a young adult, or when I was that young adult who knew my parents didn't know shit because I knew better and I was wrong. Even if we weren't talking, we could listen. We could sit and watch a game. Yeah, and the hours would go by. So the Mets came because he moved to New Jersey when he became an exile, and that's where he met my mother, and that's where I was born. And my dad wanted to be different, didn't want to be a Yankee fan because he figured they already had enough championships. So he became a Mets fan. So the New York Mets remind me of what it was. It's the only connection I have to my youth. And it's the one thing that we have in common. I mean, I'm not trying to get sappy. I'm just trying to give you that's my connection to that. It connects me to my dad.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a Mets fan because that's what I remember. And when I was a little kid, I mean, I was 3, and I do remember there are pictures of me dressed in Mets garb when they beat the Orioles. And then there's 6 when they lose to the A's in 7. And, and then the year my son is born, my son is on. I was a specialist in Oklahoma, ready to come home because my enlistment was up, and I didn't even have a TV because we weren't making a lot of money, and Graham Rudman had started, and we weren't BAQ rations weren't enough, and I listened to the Mets beat the Red Sox. I didn't get to see Buckner's play live on TV. I had to see it the next day in the PX, but I got to hear it on the radio, and I was holding my son as I was listening to it.
Yeah.
So there was always a Mets connection. And so hopefully I didn't bore you too much with the Mets thing. I'm a Mets guy. It's the one team I can truly tell you I remember them as. I mean, the Marlins are our local team here, but the ownership sucks here. And even though the Mets ownership is awful as well because they're loaded, they're just cheap. They want to be a second-rate town. They want to be a second-rate town in a city that could probably have 3 baseball teams, and did at one time.
Yeah.
And as for the greatest Met ever, Piazza was a nice Met. Piazza, there are several Mets who will always be greater Mets, not statistically, but just because they meant more to that organization than Piazza did. And I could go as far back as Rusty Staub, and I could say Lima Zelli.
That's a deep track right there.
I could tell you a guy like Rusty Staub and Ed Kranepool and Bud Harrelson, but to me the Joel Youngblood, you had these young guys who were going to be the star, and they weren't the good players that Piazza was. But to me, and it was sad to hear it this year, was that Seaver has onset dementia.
Yeah.
Seaver will no longer be in the public eye.
Yeah.
And there was, and there will probably never be a greater Met than Tom Seaver.
Yeah. And I have a really soft spot for Tom Seaver because I was born down in southern Indiana by the border near Cincinnati, and as a very young kid, going, when Seaver left the Mets and went to the Reds, I got to see him play. And so, and he I mean, he'll always be known as the Met, but Red fans have this soft spot in their heart for Tom Seaver.
Mm-hmm.
And
Tom Seaver was loved. Tom Terrific was loved in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Tom Terrific was loved with the White Sox.
Exactly.
Tom Terrific was loved with the Red Sox, and an organization that could do that let him go, and then almost did the right thing in bringing him back in '86, not putting him on the playoff roster, which
was a sin. I mean, straight up sin.
To see Tom get his, I hear Miguel Shoadell talk. I don't know if you had Miguel on. Miguel
not yet, a couple weeks from now. Yeah.
Miguel loves baseball. To hear Miguel talk about Tom Seaver almost hurts me because I have to share him with Miguel Shoadell. It's not. Let me tell you something. There are 100,000 worse people in the world that I would share Tom Seaver with than Miguel Shoadell. Miguel Shoadell is a stand-up man, but I have to share him with another baseball team.
Yeah.
But he has every right to Tom Seaver, as I do.
Well,
and Tom Seaver got his only no there, and they appreciated him more. I don't want to say more than the Mets fans do, because Mets fans will always appreciate Tom Seaver. But they took our wayward son, and let him finish his let him add to his illustrious career. And don't forget, Tom Seaver was part of a pitching staff that had Gentry, Kuzman, and Matlock, and a young Nolan Ryan who was not even good enough to get out of the bullpen in the late '60s.
Yeah.
The Mets have always been blessed with good pitching. We were just talking about it the other day. I'm thinking Darling, Fernandez, Gooden, Cone. Then these 4 guys. It's a sad thing, But yes, I think Tom. To answer your 2 questions, that's why the Mets, because I was born there, and that's where I remember going to, and the connection to my father, and the last one is, I think, Tom Seaver, by far.
Yeah. I have.
It'll be a sad day when this awful disease takes him, but eventually it will.
Yeah. It's he's one of those players that like you said, he had an impact. Most players, in the modern era, they have a lot of teams on their roster. You see a lot of teams next to their name. That's just the way it is for most players. But he was one of those rare players that he actually made an impact, not just on the play, not just on the records, not just on the dominance of the team, but he also had an impact on the fan base. He had an impact on sort of the baseball culture of whatever city he went to. And that's why I think he's one of the greatest there ever was.
I'm while you're talking, I'm looking up. I have a picture of Tom Seaver on my wall. So I mean, I'm looking up at him and I'm getting a little misty just thinking about, what a great person he was for the organization. Hey, listen, prior to Griffey and now obviously prior to Rivera, he was the highest. He was the Hall of Famer with the highest vote first ballot totals ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who has a negative thing to say about Tom Seaver?
That's one of the. Well, it is the player that I, to this day, consider it a treat and a privilege. The fact that I got to see him on the mound live when I was, 6 years old or 5 years old or whatever it was.
Unbelievable.
I can say the same thing, Matt. I wish I was older to have seen him. That privilege, that privilege for me, not for him, obviously. That goes to Greg Maddux now.
Oh yeah.
To watch the professor pitch, there's nothing like a Greg Maddux ball game. Hey, want to go see Greg Maddux pitch tonight? I know it's an 8 o'clock start. No problem. 92 pitches, an hour and 40 minutes. We're home.
Exactly.
So yeah.
And the fact
I didn't know you guys were big baseball fans. That's great.
Yeah. The fact that for me as a little kid going to Reds games, the fact that I got to see Tom Seaver and Johnny Bench and Griffey Sr. and Concepcion and I mean just you
got to see Rose and you got to see Morton and you got to see Geronimo and you got to see Foster and Ben and Clay Carroll and Raleigh Eastwick.
Yep.
And
Man.
The big red machine, baby.
I'm kind of a little baseball guy.
A little bit.
A little bit.
So let's as much as I could seriously talk about baseball all night, but talking about going back to cigars, when you first came on with and Eric brought you in, what was the first cigar in the Espinosa portfolio that you had a hand in anything, whether it was just development, whether it was blending, whether it was getting it to market, any of it? What was the first one that you can remember that you had a hand in?
Well, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. When Eric brought me on, we didn't have a cigar yet. we didn't have a cigar yet. And, he came on, listen, the story, and I do no justice, and I do it no justice telling the story because I can't tell it from the personal angle that he can. But Eric finds out that, Eric brings me on and tells me that day, he tells me this is going to be Espinosa Cigars. I think at the beginning it was supposed to be a bundle business. It was just supposed to be something for him to give his son, to get his kids' feet on the ground, and he wanted to bring in a tight man, a guy of competence. And I don't know why he thought that would be me because we never worked together. But he'll tell you, Eric will tell you 100 times that he's not book smart and all that other bullshit. And I've always thought that's a front and a crock of shit anyway. But he's, for a guy who hasn't gone to school like I have, he's a very good judge of people. I mean, he won't tell you, he won't tell you why that guy rubs him the wrong way. But when he tells you a guy rubs him the wrong way, you can pretty much bank it, Yeah. So he brought me on, and we didn't have a cigar. We didn't know what the hell we were going to do. But I know that shortly thereafter, we were on a plane to Nicaragua, and I didn't know shit about cigars. And he and Eric did. He knew. Eric doesn't really get involved in that aspect, not because it's just not what he. His thing is the sale, man. His thing is putting the cigar in your hand, and entertaining the customers and making them come back and making them remember. He doesn't want to talk about wrapper and filler and binder. Not because he can't or he doesn't know. Just that's not his shit. There's nothing sexy to it, nothing funny to it. You know, there's nothing that's only the nerds, and all the Hector talk to the nerds. That's what he does, you know. So, and that's fine with me, because I do like that nerdy shit. But I remember us sitting at the factory, and it's Carlos who runs the factory for us over there in Nicaragua, and Eric and me and some tobacco, because we had just opened. We didn't have a lot of tobacco. Well, all right, let's try that together. Ooh, that's not good. Oh, that's pretty good. All right, that's pretty good. That's better. All right, so that's how that went. I mean, since day one, I've been there. You know, I've been next to him, and it wasn't until after, I think, in our second year, when I think we brought La Huala on, and then we had Abe's project, that he says, all right, you because, you know, listen, like I said earlier, that master blender bullshit, you know, I like to consider myself the Rachel Ray of the tobacco blending industry. She's short, she's heavy, she's cute. You know, what do you got there? You got me right there. You got all those aspects are me.
When I think of Rachel Ray, I think of Héctor Alfonso Sr.
Oh, absolutely.
That's me. And I don't take myself as seriously as, and we don't take ourselves that serious, me or Rachel. But, you know, I've always said it in every interview before. I know what he likes. So it's to make something that I know he's going to like is not that hard. At first, it wasn't that hard, but we're way past that now. But now, you know, we have to make cigars for people, and that's shit like that's crazy. So, you know, I think the first one that we were all, look, we're all involved up to this day. Yeah. You know, but it's the same way that he probably doesn't get he doesn't get any of the kudos, or doesn't get any of the mentions with the blends, is probably for the same way I don't get any mentions for you know, opening this account, because that's not really what we're set up to do, you know. And you know, he set up to do that part. I'm set up to do this. Nothing gets made there without his approval. Nothing gets made there without us not all sitting around and smoking it, whether together or individually, and agreeing on this is what's best, or this is the best brand, this is the best example of what we can do with this particular tobacco. That's what we do. So I can tell you that since day one, I've been involved in everything. More as the years have gone by, but as I say, more in the front end, but he's still involved in the back end. Yeah. And you know, but his involvement in the company is so much more than mine. I mean, his responsibilities are 10 times what mine are. You know, I can't tell you how gray my beard would be if my day-to-day concerns were his day-to-day concerns. I have the plumbest of jobs. I really do. I mean, I have the plumbest of jobs. Oh, you know, what did you smoke today? Well, I just smoked some samples. Oh, you didn't smoke anything name brand? Sometimes those, you know, those are those rarities that you'll never see. I love them. You love it. Whenever you see me at the office, I'm smoking something with a white band on. I'm not smoking any of the brand stuff. I'm smoking stuff that we're working on, and hopefully we'll get back to it, and we'll rehash it at one point. So I've been there since day one. I'm happy to have been there since day one. And I owe it all to him, because like I said, I could have been, hell, I could be the receipt checker at Walmart if it hadn't been for him. And I'm glad he took a chance with me. And you know, I'm not an easy guy to work for. I'm not an easy guy to work with. I'm moody, and I don't like to travel, and you know, and I'm overweight, so I'm hot all the goddamn time, and you know, and I like people that he doesn't like, and you know, well, let me rephrase that. My people are different than his people, and his people are different than my people, and Jack's people are different than our people. But at the end of the day, man, you know, that's I'm gonna stick with the horse that brought me here, and that's the guy who plucked me out of the miners, man. Yeah. When I was just you know, when I had no idea what I was gonna do, when we had no idea where this economy was gonna go, and if I was wondering if I was going to have to eat one of my kids, or if I was going to have to lose a bunch of weight and do home invasions. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. But something had to start happening soon, brother. You know?
So tell us about some of the, you know, because there have been so many projects that you've had a chance to work on with different people, and tell us about some of the projects that have been sort of extraordinarily fun or interesting, or you know, crazy stories around some of the stuff you've done with the guys at Protocol, or the guys at our friends at Cigar Dojo and stuff like that. All the different projects. What, What is that like working on those special projects?
The dojo stuff's fun. All right, the dojo stuff's fun because that's always worked out between Eric and Eric.
Yeah.
They work it out, and then Eric will walk in, bro, listen. They want to do something called turd burglar, or I don't know what the hell it's going to be, or but they want to do Hong Kong Fooey or something. They want something, bro. They want to put some Chinese name on it. I'll tell you a funny story. You know what's a funny story about the dojo guys? They called my good friend Tim Wong, who's our rep in California, to run some names by him, if he thought they were like they come across the wrong way. And Tim goes, "I'm Chinese, not Japanese." Oh, so that's a bad one. That's a dark one for my guys at dojo. So somebody needs to somebody missed a Kingi and nonviolence class there. So the dojo guys is real simple. Eric said, "Yeah, man, he wants to call it Long Ducks Dong and just go out there and do whatever." And that's it. I love levity like that. I love that because it's easy. Then they're working like the thing we did with General. That's a little different. There you gotta put on your good boy hat, and you go over there and you meet with them, and it's not the way you treat her, but you gotta be it's big league,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like I wore a shirt and tie and shorts, but it's still you had to be very professional, and you have to kind of they have their method of doing things, but at the end of the day, they had the same goals as us. They just want a good kick-ass cigar, and that's what we did. And then you had doing the thing for Abe that was important, just because, like I said, Eric went to pick me up at the airport. But probably the most fun for me was doing the protocol cigar, because you got to understand, I have a love-hate relationship with Cancel. I don't dislike him. He thinks I don't like him, and that's not true. It's just Juan and me are two different guys. If me and Juan worked together, we wouldn't hang out ever, because we'd be sick of each other all day, But Juan, I give him credit, because very few people in this world get to live their dream and get to live it on such a level. He is living it right now. I mean, when you look at the book on how to do cigar events and how to do things, none of that shit's in the book, but it worked for them, and God bless them. And I always start off with the story of how Juan and me met. I knew who he was, but like I said, being the way I am, I'm very happy not being the guy. I'm very happy being the guy comes to. That's where I'm much better and more comfortable at. So I work 6 to 2 a.m. 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. So on Sundays, I'm in bed by halftime by the ESPN game. I'm in bed by halftime.
Yeah.
Unless the Dolphins are playing, or losing or whatever. So I get a call like at 10 o'clock at night. So I have elderly parents, so when my phone rings at night, so I scramble for it. New York number. Hello? Hey, is this Hector? I said, yeah. Hector Alfonso? I said, yeah. Hey, man, this is Juan Cancel. I said, from the internet?
From the internet.
I said, yeah, because I couldn't even think of Facebook. I said, from online Juan Cancel? He goes, yeah. How you doing, Papa? I'm good, good. Hey, man, I was wondering if I could ask you a question. I go, let me ask you one first. He goes, yeah, man. How the fuck did you get my phone number? He goes, oh, Eric gave it to me. Eric gave you my number. Interesting. I will be making a call as soon as I'm done here. So what's up? What are you doing? I go on shift at 6 a.m. Oh, okay. I better make it quick. Or we can do it tomorrow. No, quick. Let me talk to you about this. So he talks to me about this thing he wants to do and the cigar he wants to make. And blah, blah, blah. So when I hang up, I call Eric. Now it's like 11. So Eric's like, hello, everything okay? I go, did you give Juan Cancel my phone number? He goes, yeah, bro, but I didn't tell. Okay, that's all I needed to know. All right, thanks. I hung up. But I didn't tell him to call you today. Yeah, it's fine. But you gave him my phone number. All right, so So that's like a chip in the box for later. I'll be pulling that one out at a later date. So Juan, we do a cigar for Juan, and then we were doing a cigar for La Huala también. But both with Danny Moya and Nelson Ruiz. But Danny and Juan had started to really frost my ass about stronger and stronger and stronger. So when I went to Nicaragua, I decided to make a cigar that would kill them. So the cigar, so I made the strongest cigar I could possibly make with the material I had at my disposition. I made one for Danny and one for Cancel, hoping that they would get it, they would smoke it, and either they would just absolutely, their mouth would explode and I wouldn't hear from them again, or they drop dead. One of the two. Either one would have been fine with me. I wouldn't have had a problem with it. I mean, I wasn't committed at the time to them. You know what I mean? So I make one. They're different blends, but one has a lighter wrapper, one has a darker wrapper. I send them to one I can't sell. As luck would have it, Eric's in New York for some events. So he calls me and he goes, "Bro, this cigar that you gave Protocol?" He goes, "Yeah." I goes, "You like it?" He goes, "This shit's fucking, you can't sell this. It's too strong." I go, "It sucks." He goes, "No, it's fantastic. It's just too strong." I'm like, well, that's not good. And then the next day I get the same call from Danny. "Bro, I love this cigar. We want to do this cigar." Well, that cigar became Protocol, the Blue Protocol. And the other one became Chinese Finger Trap, which was a limited release that they did for the dojo community.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for dojo itself, I think, but for the dojo community.
Yeah.
So I pretty much gave up trying to hurt anybody with tobacco at that point. But those were the funnest ones. The guy came back going, "I'm going to kill them with this. I know it. I know I'm going to kill them with this." No. So, I wish I had some funnier stories. I mean, I just don't. I do like the people who when I go to Nicaragua, the people I'm with there, and the guys who I consider my friends in the industry who are guys who do what I do, and who do this part of the business. It's just the conversations are different, and what we find funny is a lot different than what the other we actually find them funny. So I mean, it's but I've met people in this industry that are sincerely good people. Yeah. And I'll tell you that I'm surprised at times coming from where I come from that I actually do talk to those people, because you do tend to put people in boxes, and I've met some really good people. Look, when Willie Herrera's here, I go to Willie's house every 10 days or 12 days. Yeah. And we've never smoked anything with the band on it. Everything we smoke is from this testing tray or this and we just talk tobacco and just and I like that. I mean, it's not sexy, it's not the great stories that the reps have, because nobody has better stories than the reps. The reps are the best. The brand owners might know great stories, but the reps have seen all these fucking stories happen, and the reps have the best stories. Yeah. But I like my guys. My guys are they're funny, man, because we just we kind of suited up a little bit, but I enjoy it. It's a great industry to be in. And I'm very lucky to be there now 8 years. I'm very lucky that I'm with Espinosa. I'm lucky that Eric took the shot with me. And, with all this, with all the movement you see, I mean, going back to baseball, now it's like winter baseball meetings are coming up and winter cigar meetings are coming up. Yeah. You won't see this horse jump. I'm true to my shul, man. I'm gonna try to make it a career in one company. I'm gonna see if I can be the only guy who's ever done that.
Well, Hector, if this is you sick and all coked up, I would hate to see what you're like, not sick and all coked up.
I'm talking and I'm having some recall issues. I want to find the right word, and I'm a little hesitant. But that prednisone's got me breathing good, and doesn't have me speaking very well, but has me feeling good, and that Z-Pack, and then I'm taking, because you spend all day sitting, then your back hurts, then you lay down, and your back hurts early. So I'm popping a leave, and I'm popping this, and I'm going back to work tomorrow, because I know that if I don't go to work tomorrow, then there's Thursday and Friday. There's no way I'm going to want to go to work Monday. So I'm going to go to work tomorrow. tomorrow and tough it out. But I've been known to get a little loose on the shows. I've been known to get I like it. I like having somebody else on so we can talk shit. But this stuff like this, I'm kind of here at your disposal. Anything you guys, and I've got no time limit. I'll be on as long as you guys want me to be on.
Well, hey, real quick, are you doing Bear's show anytime soon?
Bear I haven't been on Bear's show in more than a year probably. But Bear, I was one of the first guys on Bear's show. Yeah. And I think Bear's getting his feet wet, and I think he's doing the right thing. He's trying to touch as many bases as he can. And
and we're really in the same boat. We just started in February. We're just kind of in the same boat, getting our feet wet and learning how to do this as we go and doing the best we can. And
listen, you guys, I'm watching. I'm a little out of it, but I can see you guys are prepared. You guys did your homework. You asked me the right questions. You knew a little bit about my background. Better than you can, and you're smoking the cigar. The other thing you haven't talked about is whether you like the cigar or not, or what your favorite cigars are. But you guys are doing great. Listen, this has become a very tough industry you guys are in now, just like we are.
Yep.
The cigar media, the cigar news media. You have the guys in print, the ones nobody likes. Then you have all the, you have the dojo guys, and then you have Coop, who's what's the name of the guy who took over for Dick Clark? Who with the ball at New Year's
Ryan Seacrest.
Who's the Ryan Seacrest of the cigar industry? He's everywhere. He's got a radio show now. He's doing music. Coop's everywhere. The dojo guys they're everywhere. Now you guys are on the scene, and there's a bunch of other ones that I have no idea who they are. I mean, I've been on with Federation. I like those guys. Those guys are really down to earth guys.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to meet him at the Lazona Palooza. He was invited, but he had some bike problems, so he couldn't make it. Brian Glenn was supposed to be there, and so I mean, there's a lot of guys out there who do podcasts. I think I've only broached the surface of it, but the guys who asked for look, anybody you asked me to come on a podcast, it's pretty simple. We're going to talk about the company. We're going to talk about our cigars. We're going to talk about how we, what our goal is, what we're striving to, and then anywhere in between, we'll fill it with whatever you guys want to talk about. Look, if you guys want to hear stories, Eric's the guy to have on, man. And you want to hear some other types of stories, Jack's the guy to have on. You want nerd talk, and and you want to cry about Forrest Gump when Lieutenant Dan shows up with the metal legs, I'm your guy. That's the guy. You want to talk about male movies that I was in an office the other day, and we're like, Eric says that he's never cried in a movie. I said, you've never seen a movie before in your life then? What are you talking about? I go, how'd you not cry when John Wayne when the Green Berets is over and John Wayne, the little Vietnamese kid, I didn't see that one. Oh, so you avoid movies where you're gonna cry. That's what it is.
Yeah.
He said he had a phone call right at the end of Old Yeller, so he doesn't know how it ended. I said, he got to the movie after they had killed Bambi's mom. He didn't know anything about all that stuff,
How can you not cry at the end of The Natural when Robert Redford hits the home run?
Man,
when Roy Hobbs hits that home run, all the sparks start falling down. How can you not cry at that? Give me a break,
dude.
It's baseball.
It's baseball.
It's baseball. How do you not cry at the end of League of Their Own when the short annoying kid, the fat annoying kid is at the Hall of Fame? He's grown up now. Look.
Or they're making fun of Tommy Boy when he's playing with his dinghy,
Maybe not. Maybe that's not such a tearful scene, but
no. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well,
you just killed the moment.
Damn it.
Yeah, you kind of fucked that one up, man. You shit all over that one. I can't help you there. I can't even fix that. You're on your own, brother.
Yeah, we can't fix that. So instead of trying to fix it, let's
move on.
Let's transition. So every week we do a useless fact of the week, and since it's Thanksgiving week, we're going to talk turkey. So you guys know there's a name for that thing that hangs down from the chin of a turkey. You know what that thing's called?
Isn't that called the gobbler or the fabbler or something like that? Isn't it something lure?
No.
Okay.
Well, I know on a lizard it's called a dewlap.
I found a cow too, I think.
It's called a snood.
Oh, of course. You made a cigar called that.
It's called a snood. So, and this kind of blew me away that the the dangly appendage that hangs from the turkey's forehead to the beak is called a snood, and these fleshy these fleshy flaps. Yes, I just said that. I just said that live on the air.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh.
I got this off the internet, so you know it's got to be true. They can change color according to the turkey's physical and mental health. So it's like a mood ring for turkeys.
Snood. It's the mood snood.
There you go. It's the mood snood. So that's an.
So you just have a moil take that off, right?
Just have a bris. Just call your rabbi. Schedule.
Top, rabbi. A little off the top there, you know.
Just nip the tip.
Yeah.
Just
He's freckle the freckle, not too much.
Wow. That name is available for anybody who's looking for a new cigar name. Mood Snood.
Yep.
That might be a new dojo cigar. Hold on. Let me get him on the phone. I'm gonna get him on the.
Just tell Eric I want a free bundle. That's we just want a bundle. That's it.
All right, no problem.
And
so now we go to our favorite segment of the week.
Numero de los Muertos. All right, guys.
What's the number?
Number of the dead?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. This number is 24. And that number is of all time since the first one recorded in 1973.
So 24 have died from this since 1973.
Yes.
Is it people?
It is people.
It's people
that have died.
Soda machine fell on them.
Soda machine fell on them?
No, that is much higher. It's that average is out to about 4 a year.
Shit.
Yeah.
Stupid people was wrong.
Yeah. We've done that one.
Nothing to do with nothing. Nobody removing a turkey schmood. 24 people in the last 36 years. In the last 46 years.
Yeah. And so I'll give you a little geography. It is.
Yeah.
It is between Texas and North Carolina.
Does it involve feral hogs?
No. Though
people falling off a seating bypass.
No.
Does it involve animals?
It does involve animals.
Is it relations with sheep?
Mm.
I didn't say that. I don't know who said that. It wasn't me.
That's weird.
Bitten by a rattler? No, that can't be. Yeah.
No, not a rattlesnake.
Is it a mammal?
It is not a mammal.
It's not a mammal. Does it swim?
Yeah, it swims.
It swims. Does it also walk?
It does also walk.
It also walks.
Alligator. Alligator attack?
Alligator.
Is it alligator attacks?
It is alligator attacks.
There you go. Hector with knowledge.
Boom.
Dropping knowledge bombs on us. So 20.
If you need another 100,000 gators, we've got them here in Florida.
Yep. Now,
they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Yep.
Oh.
So majority of that number comes from Florida.
Yeah.
And it comes from intoxicated people running the airboats in the Everglades. So
man.
Over half of that number is people who have crashed or gotten stuck.
They're drunk, so they
get out and they're trying to push their
their airboat landlocked, and they
Yep.
Hector, I'm sure in your time in law enforcement, you've never encountered any intoxicated people.
Never.
No.
Never.
Yep.
No, because there are no bad people.
Oh yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Listen, once we started passing out participation trophies, everything went great here. Everything self-corrected.
Yeah.
And everything was fine.
I agree 100%.
Totally.
This cigar.
Hey, are you okay?
What's that?
Okay. All right, that's cool.
This cigar is incredible, by the way. Hector.
It is just. I'm gonna nub this like I've never nubbed before.
You're gonna schnote it. Nice.
I'm gonna do things to this that we're not gonna show on the air.
You gotta nip the schnood. Nip the schnood.
My schnood mood is purple.
Yeah, you're talking about movies. No, I can't. I don't. I've been so good today. I can't. I'm not even going to go down that road. I'll tell you off the air.
Offline.
Offline.
The after
I'll
show.
tell you that one offline. I'll tell you that one offline.
So let's hit a little bit of a lightning round here. So Hector, if what should let's start with this. And I think I know based on what we've talked about already what your answer is going to be, but this is an interesting question. If you could choose only one of the following, to score a touchdown as a defensive lineman, to score a hockey goal as a goalie, or to hit a home run as a starting pitcher.
Wow, to hit a home run as a starting pitcher. That's super obscure.
Yeah.
Because pitchers, I mean, very few pitchers are Mike Hampton-esque in their ability to swing the bat,
right.
Like Liban Hernandez was a good hitting pitcher, and so was Mike Hampton, and there's a kid, Tom Hammonds. Those guys could hit the ball. That's a very rare thing. Hockey is. Listen, I'm going to tell you, we watch hockey down here, but we haven't really been serious hockey fans. The Panthers are doing very well this year. They've had some really great games, some really breakout games against some good teams. But it's been a long time since they were, we followed them in '97, and they took a team of tough, young defensive players and made it all the way to the finals and ran into Fosberg and Sakic.
Oh, yeah.
That's all.
Not only were those two great, they had possibly the best goalie ever between the and Patrick Waugh. And I kept saying, but his name is Roy. Yes, we are new to this hockey shit, and we're from Florida, and we're Cuban, and we don't care. But they ran into a wall. If you guys were hockey fans back then, did you see the teams that they had to beat to get to the finals?
Mm-hmm.
And any of those teams would have given Colorado a better run than the Panthers did. Except, and that last game, the elimination game, what a great game that was, man. Beesbrook was on his game that day.
Mm-hmm.
But hockey's not my thing. And you said as a defensive man, a strip sack and a touchdown, is that what you said?
So just to score a touchdown as a defensive lineman. I mean,
sure.
For a defensive back to score a touchdown, it's not so rare, but for a lineman to score a touchdown.
But for a lineman to rumble and stumble and bumble into the end zone, that's probably delicious right there. I'll take that. I'll take that.
I love watching the big boys rumble down the field.
Listen, you laugh. You said when you as a Spanish kid growing up, your parents tell you that you're going to be a ball player because you're Spanish. So, which only works if you were born in the Dominican. So, but my dream was always that not to be an all-star or to be a player, but I just would have loved to have been on the field when they do the introductions to the all-star games, that all the all-stars line up and they all do the same thing, and now playing third base for the New York Mets, and you kind of tip your hat like that.
Oh, totally.
That was always my dream. I know it's very sappy, but that was always my childhood dream.
Yeah. So if you could choose to hear the thoughts of one living person for 10 minutes, who would that person be and why?
Courtney Love, because she's fucking crazy.
Best answer ever.
That's fantastic.
I would just love to see what the hell is going on.
Just to know what's going on in there.
You know what? I got to take that back because she's not relevant anymore. So I guess it would have to go to my second favorite crazy person. It would have to be Kanye West. I'd like to hear how he talks to himself. Let me look up Kim online. Oh, shit. Not those videos again.
Yeah.
So it would be, I'd like to listen to Kanye talk shit in his head for 10 minutes. I'd love to hear.
Just to hear the arguments he has with himself.
I'm the greatest. No, I'm the greatest. No, you're right. Yeah, I know.
All right. If you were about to get into a fight.
That's it. There's no really out of that one, but go ahead.
If you were about to get into a fight, what soundtrack music would come on?
Am I in the wrong or am I in the right? That's an important thing, man. You got. It's an important thing for me.
Well, the soundtrack music, you're the hero. You're the hero of the movie.
Oh, then it's got to be the KLF. Transcendental from the KLF. It can't be no wussy wham shit. It's got to be.
Wake me up.
It can't be wake me up before you go. It's got to be the last train to Transcendental. It's got to be the KLF, or if I really want to, it's got to be Snap. I Got the Power. That's a great. It's got to be those songs that you hear walking. When you're walking, you hear yourself. Well, even though you're not in the movie, you hear yourself in that. It's got to be something like that.
There you go. There you go. If you could give one piece of advice to a new cigar consumer, what would it be?
Invest in something else. Oh no.
Great brand ambassador.
No, a cigar. I thought you said another cigar company. I'm sorry. Forgive me. And you know, it's funny. I have this. This happens to me at least once a week. I said, listen. I told this guy this week. He came into the shop, and I guess the owner told him something, so he sought me out, and he goes, "This is what I'm smoking," and he was smoking another brand. And I said, "Do you like that?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, look. This is the problem. What happened? This is the problem with getting hooked on a cigar. That cigar moves okay here. Once that cigar is out, you could go 2-3 weeks without seeing that cigar again. I would recommend that you go to your cigar clerk and you ask him, I love this cigar. I am really into the cigar. Can you turn me on to 2 or 3 cigars just like this so that I will always have a fallback?"
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he goes, "That's a good idea." So he says, "Can you help me?" And this is going to make Eric proud. He goes, "Well, can you help me?" Because the first brand was not ours. He goes, "Well, can you help me?" I said, "Sure." And then I turned him on to 2 of our cigars. So
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. If you could give one piece of advice to cigar retailers, specifically brick and mortar cigar retailers around the country, what would it be?
Smoke Espinosa every day. No, seriously.
There you go.
Listen, no, you know, that's really, I went on my first sales trips this year, and they were really sales trips. They were more like nerdapaloozas that, you know, I went to shops that wanted to talk, you know, tobacco and talk, you know, they'd talk all the nuts, and they loved it. But if the one conversation I seem to be having with all of them when I was there was that it seems that a lot of them are put under a lot of undue pressure by some of these manufacturers. Let me tell you something. I've worked for this guy for 8 years, and this guy doesn't, you know, he does things that I've never seen anybody else do. And you know, we're still here, and we're still working. You know, I've heard these retailers tell me that brands put limits on them, that to get this, they got to get that. And they get that. And Eric said, "Bro, why would I discount any sale? I want my cigar in every store possible." You know? So what I've always told him, I said, "Listen, you know, you do what's best for your store, but at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you as well. And why would you be stuck carrying? Why would you have to carry 40 facings of something when what your store really would sell were 2 or 3 of these facings? You know, you're not doing a service to your clientele. Look, there's somebody told I'm not like I don't travel to a lot of stores. I heard there's a store in Texas. They're a big Lancero store. All right, and I think it's Stogie's in Texas. So Stogie's in Houston, a big Lancero store.
Yep.
So what do you try to sell when you go there? Your Lancero, or your Lancero sizes. Why would you try to sell that guy? Why would you try to push that guy to take 6x60s and 7x70s and all this other stuff when what he really needs or what he really wants is Lancero, because that's what his client wants.
Yeah.
I've told you got to make the purchases that are best for your clients, and then you know their retort is always the same. Yeah, but if I don't get it, then I don't get this brand or that brand, and they'll go online and they'll buy it, or they'll go to another shop and buy it. I said, bro, that's the yin and the yang of the brick and mortar. You know, it's I like my shop because everybody there, they're real loyal. Those guys, that's their shop.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen everywhere. I mean, I don't know about there, but I can tell you for sure down here, very few guys are store loyal. You know, But that's what I try to tell them, bro. You got to do what's best for your store. If it's not, if our stuff doesn't sell, you know, and you've tried it all, then what do you want me to tell you?
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. So let's go to notable smokables.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about a couple cigars that we've smoked over the last week or so that are interesting. They could be new, they could be old. Just something that we lit up this week. My first one this week was the little short Perfecto, the Opus X Love Affair.
Oh,
So I mean it's a delicious little cigar. It's overpriced, but it's fantastic. It's really fantastic
it's
cigar.
a good treat.
So I lit that one up just a few days ago. Enjoyed it very much.
Well, I kind of, as we talked about before the show, Matt, I did a Espinosa trip this week. And so my first notable is the 20-year, which has been one of my recent go-tos.
I love that cigar. I love that cigar.
Dude, it's so, and I'm not trying to be a fanboy, but realistically, that has been just one of my new favorites that I love.
Yeah. So Hector, I know being in the position you are, and most of the people we talk to, they smoke their own stuff. Obviously, that's the way it's got to be. But do you ever get a chance to smoke something from other companies that you respect?
That's of course. Listen, I've always taken offense with. I think it's silly. If you ask me, I think it's silly if you don't smoke anybody's stuff but your own. First of all, there's Jack. Before we started working together, me and Jack were at the show once, and I told him, "Have you smoked anything good while you were here?" It's like the second day of the show. He goes, "Buddy, this place is full of great cigars. Problem is, most of them will never see the light of day."
Yeah.
So, when I run across guys who say they don't smoke anything but their own stuff, I think they're doing themselves an incredible misservice. And they're. First of all, how else do you know what's new out there? What's going on out there?
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, I think there's some kinship to that. I think if you smoke a cigar, you smoke your competition cigar or a friend of your cigar, even if you're in different levels.
Yeah.
You smoke a cigar, I think it's a sign of respect. You know. Look, I smoke a lot of Roma Craft. I like the Neanderthal cigar.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Black Irish. I like the Wonderlust. Those are the ones I like. I like Willie stuff. I don't smoke a lot of Drew Estate. Not anymore. It's been a long time since I smoked. I'm heavy into the Herrera Esteli that he does in the Miami Esteli, the Miami Herrera, which is fantastic. I like the Brazilian that he did. I also like his Undercrown. I smoke a lot of Blackworks. I smoke a lot of HVC. I smoke a lot of
HVC. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like HVC a lot. I think he's a nice young guy as well. I'm trying to think who else do I smoke a lot of. I smoke as much as I'll deny it because he'll tell you he's not worthy of it. I love soccer shit a lot. I like Steve stuff a lot. I'm trying to think. I smoke a lot of the stuff by the guys from. I smoke Crux because I have some of it because Casey is in our office for years. So I have plenty of Crux stuff. And then of the big guys, I would tell you I smoke. There's only one cigar I crave. I crave it. I'm a Fuente guy. Not a Fuente guy. I'm a Padron guy. I like a Padron. I like a number 9 and I like it natural.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the cigar I crave. And of the Fuentes, I like Casa Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
I like Casa Cuba.
Yep.
And I used to smoke a lot of the 77s. I used to smoke a lot of Sharks, but I've lost a little taste for it. So the Casa Cuba for me does, and believe it or not, I like the Rosados. I thought the Rosados are great.
Oh yeah,
that was a good Fuente. But when I crave a cigar, it's that one. I want a Padron. I'll go in there. I'll get a Padron. I'll sit down and then I'm good because I've got 60 different lines that I can smoke, and I think all of them are fantastic, and none of them take a backseat to anybody's cigar.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, I want something different, and since I don't smoke Cubans, I just for the just on GP, I don't have that issue that I gotta have this, I gotta have that. I'll tell you, when I get Cubans, who enjoys them the most? Alan. I take him to Alan.
Yeah.
So
we don't really talk about Cuban cigars on this show. It's just something we don't deal with. It's if things change in the future, maybe we will, but right now we don't deal with it.
I respect you for that. That's great. I mean, listen, when I see a list that has a Cuban on it, well, so your top 25 this year is really a top 22 because those 3 aren't available.
It's just I own Cuban cigars. I still buy some Cuban cigars, but it's rare. I maybe buy 2 boxes of Cubans a year. It's rare that I spend money on Cuban cigars.
My sister's husband is a different generation than I am. He's a much younger man, and his Cuba issue is that he doesn't have the same issues with Cuba that I had growing up, where my parents did.
Yeah.
So he goes to Cuba regularly, and he brought me back some made on his uncle's farm that were delicious. They're hand rolled. You could tell they were hand rolled. And I'm a big fan. I've become a big fan of the tobacco, but of the brands, no. You can have them. I don't. It's not for me. It's just not for me. But yeah, those are when you're asking me the brands that I smoke, that when I'm not smoking my own stuff, that's where you're gonna see it.
Yeah. Just one other one quickly for me, and this was just sort of ironic, branding wise, but I smoked the because we had Juan Cancel and Kevin.
A couple of weeks ago, you had him on.
What's that?
You had him on a couple of weeks ago.
We had him on, a few weeks ago, and they were kind enough to send us some stuff, and I've been a fan of that original protocol since it came out, and I smoked one of those just within the last 10 days or so, and it's just as good as it ever was. It's been one of my favorite cigars since it hit the market. And
you want to know something ironic about that cigar?
What's that?
The best size for that cigar will never be released.
Oh, really?
It's a double Corona.
Okay.
They only order them for themselves. Of course, I stopped them. I stopped some at Hector Customs and took some for myself. I impounded some with Court and Port Authority. This is a couple of years ago. I took 10 of 20 of a bundle that came in. They are fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Well, that was a blend I've enjoyed forever. So since 2015. Guys, just a few for those of you watching and listening again, thanks for joining us. A few programming notes for some things coming up here in the near future. Next week we're into December already next week. That's crazy. Man. But next week on December 3rd, we already mentioned his name, Mr. Miguel Shodell from Crowned Heads is going to be on the show. Very excited to welcome him. And then on December 10th, Terrence Riley from Aganorsa Leaf will join us. And the last show of 2019 on the 17th mentioned him as well.
Paul Rubens.
Paul Rubens. Yeah. Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
No. Pee Wee Herman.
Justin Andrews from Diesel Cigars is going to be live on the show.
That'll be better than Paul Rubens.
That will be better than Paul Rubens.
All right, I'm gonna task you with 3 things.
Okay.
You're gonna have first. You're gonna have Miguel on, right?
Yes.
Yep.
The over and under on Cincinnati Reds baseball talk will be 10 minutes.
I'm already voting for the over.
Yeah.
You're also going to have on Terrence Riley, right?
Yes.
You're going to have St. Terrence on. So I would put $100 that you could not find anybody if you had a call-in show who has anything bad to say about that man. All right. Absolutely zero negative feedback on that guy. So you got my 100 against a perfect pitch count of 0 for him.
There you go.
And then Justin Andrews, you're gonna hear about minor league baseball and about how sad his East Carolina Pirates did, how they did him dirty. You're gonna hear about that. All right.
Yes.
I don't want to tell you that I might not be Joe Popular, but I know my people. Okay.
Yeah,
So Hector, give our listeners and our viewers a final little snapshot of what's coming up for Espinosa Cigars and any big events coming up soon.
Oh my God! Well, we had the mother of all events, Lazona Palooza, was just concluded a couple of weeks ago. I went ahead and celebrated that by getting sick for the last 3 days, which was great.
Good.
Because I shook a lot of hands, man. Let me tell you, we shook a lot of hands, hugged a lot of people. Let's see, we got a cigar that we're releasing. I can't remember. Yeah, the War Zone coming out. Our collaboration with General. We also had a hand in Protocol's Black Friday release. It's coming out this week. The Confidential Informant.
Yes.
So for that, we also helped with Caravan Cigar Company's release of Fair Warning. If you've never met the guys from Caravan, they are the most interesting bunch of guys you've ever seen. It's a father and two sons, and they're hilarious. He says he's my spirit animal, which Brian Lewis is one hug away from getting a restraining order. He kisses me again. Then of course, sometime in November, and I'm sure Justin will probably be all about that when you talk to him in a couple of weeks. But the War Zone, from what I understand, some of the General's distributing it, and some of the distributors already are out of their stockpile of what their allotment was. So I'm hoping that it's all gone by the time Justin's on there. And then for 2020, we're Espinosa. We're on top of doing our due diligence. We want to be compliant, and we will because we want to make sure that we're around after whether the dike springs another leak or we get another reprieve. We're making sure that we're going to be around for our consumers and our customers, and we've also got a couple of great things planned for 2020, and hopefully we can just keep building the team. Oh, you know what I didn't mention? We brought on Richie Otero, and I forgive I'm going to blame it for being on under the weather. Richie left where he was a couple of weeks ago, and Eric was looking for somebody that can help us to tighten up where we were missing. We don't have representation, and to help with some of these key accounts that that we don't have reps in that area, and that he can help us with his experience at his former company. All the while still keeping Eric and Jack on the road and doing their things. It's kind of a multi-pronged approach. It's what we need. And we're doing all the changes that we need to do to keep the company afloat. Not afloat, but keep it current. And then most importantly is you got to get the message out. And Richie seems to be somebody who's all in with our vision, and I think he's going to be a fine addition. It's going to take him some time, obviously, it's a new company and it's a family business, and all the dynamics are always different. But he's got two guys that he considers friends that are working there beforehand, and he's developing his rapport with Eric now in the last couple of weeks. So I think it's a good hire for us. So we're just we're steadily going on. I hope, and I really hope that 2020 is that year for us.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Forgive me. And again, I've got like I always told you, this is Lexus has that December to remember. Cigar Aficionado gives me that December to forget, because I've got 3 cigars or 4 cigars that are eligible for the top 25. And when I say we, I say me. I say that our company, that we have pending, and I'm the one that's always on top of that. So we'll see where they land.
Yeah.
In the top 25, if they land at all. So I appreciate you guys bearing up with the voice and me not being 100%, but it was a pleasure to be on with you guys. And anytime you guys ever, you need me or Eric or anybody you want, let me know, and we'll make that happen for you.
Yeah, we appreciate your time, and thanks for sticking with us through a little bit of a sickness. For those of you watching, again, for watching, we appreciate you giving us your time. And for those of you listening also, as always, if you guys have any questions, hit us up on the website, howaboutthatcigar.com. You can sign up for the email list. You can also send us questions directly from there if you want to know anything. Don't forget, we do have some stuff to give away, so you can still leave comments on the video even after it's not live anymore. You can leave comments on the YouTube video as well, and also sign up for the email list, and that'll qualify you to win some cool stuff. And until we see you guys next time, burn cigars,
not bridges.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.